Hi, my name is Zach Dogar, and I'm a business broker. Now, this webinar is for owners of hair and beauty salons that are looking to sell. I hope to cover all the essential considerations and talk you through the process we use to sell a business like yours, which will hopefully provide you with an understanding of the road ahead. Okay, just to explain a bit about my background, I have 20 years experience in selling businesses. I've sold lots and lots of hair and beauty salons and advised hundreds of clients who've wanted to sell their salons. Also, I'm able to provide advice to ready your business for sale and discuss your exit strategy generally. One of the fundamental starting points, which I think are important to bear in mind, is to look at your business from the eyes of an acquirer, i.e., the person that's looking to buy the business. Because we can all be proud of what we've created and built up, but the business won't sell if it's not marketed for the right price, and aspirations have to be realistic. And one of the first questions that I am asked by buyers is, why would somebody want to sell a successful business? And of course, reasons to sell vary. Uh, One of the most popular ones is for people to be looking to either start a family or grow a family or just spend more time with family. Retirement and ill health are also quite popular reasons for wanting to sell, as well as changes of circumstances. Of course, often reasons for sale can't be predicted and a sale may be enforced, which is why it's always important to have some type of exit strategy in mind and an idea of what type of business it is that you'll be putting on the market at any particular time. When you do decide to sell your business, there are various avenues you can go down in terms of looking to sell. And of course, one of these is to try and sell your business yourself, which can be time consuming and involve lots of effort and time, and also may affect the eventual outcome. You could also use a business transfer agent, and these guys act a bit like a dating agency where they will find you a buyer by putting the business on various internet sites, but you are left largely to your own devices in terms of putting the deal together, dealing with solicitors, and all the other bits and pieces that are involved in the selling process. They also do tend to charge upfront fees and a commission on sale. The final avenue would be to use a reputable business broker similar to ourselves that has experience in the industry and has been through this journey many times with many clients before. And a good business broker, first of all, will be paid on success. So it's normally a no sale, no fee situation, which then gives you the security and comfort of knowing that there is somebody motivated to sell your business. And also, it's a process where somebody will be holding your hand throughout each stage of the journey. Um, so, this is what we offer as brokers. And I just wanted to talk very quickly about the process of selling a business. And what we start off by doing is trying to value the business, which I can talk about later in this webinar. Also, an analysis of whether it's the right time to sell the business and the business is in the right position to be able to place it on the market. We also find a SWOT analysis useful so that we can understand the strengths and weaknesses of your salon. And also, of course, the taxation issue is very important, because what is of a key factor is how much money you end up with, not necessarily the sale price. Once a valuation's been agreed upon, we then have to discuss a potential marketing strategy to attract the right type of buyer. And of course, then once that's done, is to go through the whole of the process, right up until we've sold your business. So that's kind of a brief synopsis of how we go about selling businesses. And just to elaborate a bit on that, initially we prepare a sales memorandum for any potential buyers. And the idea here is to get an idea of the business, which then prepares it to place on the market and on the websites. And it's important to protect the business, because obviously the business becomes vulnerable once it goes on the market. You could lose staff, and you could lose clients, and potentially competitors get to find out and may take advantage of the situation. So it's important to put enough information out there so that people can look at the business and decide whether they want to buy it or not, but at the same time, not compromise your business. And we use Businesses for Sale and Dalton's, which are the largest websites in the world for selling businesses. Certainly, we've proven it's successful to advertise the salons on there. We also use a database of over 650,000 buyers and various social media, including Twitter and Facebook. We protect the confidentiality of all of our clients' businesses through a very detailed NDA. And again, as you can see, we take the client through the whole of the process, right up until the time that the business is actually sold. Now, as far as valuing your business is concerned, any business is really only worth what somebody else is prepared to pay. So we aren't going to understand what a likely outcome is until we place it on the market. But we can give you a rough idea, and we can use some multiples that are generally used in the industry when it comes to selling the business. And we are looking at valuing goodwill, and goodwill is basically the name, brand, reputation, and the cash flow, and the client base which you've created. And to that, we would add any assets that you may have, including stock and equipment. Also, we need to understand the profit of the business rather than how the accounts are put together. So there are various add backs that we would use. For example, personal traveling expenses, car expenses, depreciation, and other elements that we can add back to create the right value for the business. Also, I want to quickly talk about the information required to sell the business, and the the method by which information is put together for your business in detail is called the due diligence, and it's normally done once we've found a buyer and it proceeds to the solicitors. But we like to have all the information in advance, because it stops us from having to deal with situations on the spot, and having knowledge of the full details of the business is really important. So we want to see things like a copy of your lease, contracts of employment, of course, all of the accounts, and details of social media and websites, which all help us to put together a strategy, not only in terms of marketing the business, but also being able to take the deal over the line. As I mentioned earlier, confidentiality is very important, and the business does need to be protected as it does become vulnerable when it's placed on the market. So, our NDA, for example, will protect your staff, and will protect any information that's given to any potential buyer so that they can only use it for the purposes of analysing the business and deciding whether they want to buy it or not. Now, a marketing strategy must take into account who is likely to buy your business. So, and there can be three main types of buyers. If you've got a sole trader business or a kind of turnover less than maybe 100,000, then I would suggest that it be aimed at either the first time buyer or a qualified hairdresser or beautician that is looking to buy a business. And the larger salons tend to be purchased either by competitors or investors. And especially investors may want you to stay on in the business for a while until they can find management. And this will then decide. This is one of many factors that will decide the eventual sale price that you manage to achieve. And of course, any marketing campaign needs to be directed at the type of person or organization that's going to be looking to buy your business, and we put together, of course, information memorandums and all the marketing material so that we can get the business in front of the right type of buyer. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, we do use Dalton's Business and Businesses for Sale and various other websites to make sure that we get the right spread out there and get the word out there so that we can attract the right type of buyer. A couple of factors that need to be borne in mind is what type of business it is that you're selling. If you're selling a sole trader business, then it is always going to be an asset sale, which means that somebody else will simply buy your business and run it in whichever legal entity they choose. If you are selling a limited company, you do need to understand the difference between a share sale and an asset sale. And there are huge advantages of selling your business as a share sale, although it is slightly more complex. And if you are selling the shares in your limited company, you will be giving warranties as to any debts that the business may have, whether you know about them or not. And also, the buyer does inherit any potential legal action there may be by either staff or anybody else. So, this is an important factor to take into account. And I think that because of the different types of buyers, especially a first time buyer, and if you have a smaller salon, uh, buyers do tend to, if they haven't got any experience, to rely on us to help them through the stages of buying the business as well as helping you sell the business. So we do strive for a win-win situation. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you do sell your salon to an investor, then you may have to stay on in the business for even up to a year or even longer. So it's important to establish a really good relationship. And as I say, we do strive to create a win-win situation for both parties. There are different types of deals that can be struck when you're selling your salon. Of course, everybody strives for an outright sale, but sometimes, especially if you have a salon which has which has a very high value, you would probably benefit from either a staggered payment arrangement or an earnout. Of course, sometimes a competitor will just want to buy you and continue to run the business under their brand. But this is an important factor, and the more open-minded you are of the types of deals that you're prepared to consider, the better the outcome, I think, for you. The legal process can be a difficult time when you're looking to sell. The heads of terms have to be drafted, which of course we do on your behalf. Solicitors then have to be employed, and part of our service is to include your legal fees in the whole transaction. There's also, of course, the landlords to deal with, who do tend to use the opportunity of a sale to renegotiate terms on a lease. And of course, they are a very important factor in the sale price and how much you achieve. So it's important that the logistics of dealing with these different parties and stakeholders is put together. And of course, again, that's something that if you do employ us, we're able to do for you. There are certain practical considerations that over the years I've had to uh, advise owners about. One important factor is, when do you tell the staff? Because in some cases, when a business is placed on the market, when and staff get to find out, they do become very, very insecure about their position. They become uncomfortable. So we have to try and understand in each case, which is very, very different, when to tell the staff. Also, especially if you do have a very successful salon, how and when to give information to the buyer. Uh, Also, there are practical considerations, handover periods, and of course, what happens on the day of completion. Now, I've had to be at the premises on the day of completion to make sure that everything goes okay, uh, and also to negotiate the stock post sale, because it's very important that to understand that we will not have an idea of the exact value of the stock until after the sale. So there are also considerations, important considerations, that need to take place post sale. And indeed, on that point, I've had to, on many occasions, continue to be involved in a business post sale, even for up to a year and longer, because of the ongoing issues, especially with handovers and consultancy periods. Okay, so I hope that this webinar has been useful for you to give you an idea of the journey ahead. Should you decide that you want to sell, or are looking to sell, or indeed are just looking into the future and deciding what sort of exit strategy you can start putting into place now. Um, we offer some very good rates for NHF members, being members ourselves. Uh, Please feel free to call me anytime you want, even if you're at the very early stages of the process, because to be honest, the earlier that you can come to me, the more effective the exit strategy and the marketing strategy we can place together. And I often work with clients who are looking to sell in maybe a year or two and just want to understand where they are and how they can move forward. As brokers, we don't charge upfront fees. We do all the advertising for you. We offer a very personalized service. We have an excellent success rate in the industry, and I hope that I hope to be of help to you too in the future. Thank you very much for listening.